had to hire childcare. So I show up on time, 7 p.m. on Monday. At 8:30 or 8:45, they tell me and the other young woman that Blue's not coming. Now, mind you, the first 2 Mondays that we were told this interview was going to be on, Chrisean wasn't, from what we were told, going to be there. So Monday night, I drove all the way from Calabasas to downtown, and Blue didn't come. Apparently, they'd had another fight. So he wasn't going to be able to make it. So, the team asked me what time I was available. So I said, well, I could either do 7:30 or 9. My son has practice from 7:30 to 9. So I can either pick him up from school at 3:30, go home, get myself ready, drop him off to practice, and have the nanny pick him up, and I can come straight downtown from dropping him off. Or I can pick him up from school, get him ready, get him to practice, and stay at practice. And then essentially same thing, but I'll just stay at practice a little bit longer, which I stay at practice when it's my week, when I take him to practice. So they said, well, if we tell them 9 o'clock, and he said, well, now he's bringing Chrisean. And I said, oh, brother, okay. So I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, so I was just like, okay, all right, cool. So that caused a lot of anxiety for me. Just because I've been so isolated, I didn't know what version we were going to get. I didn't know how things were going to go. She's known to be a firecracker. I'm a firecracker. She's pregnant. So I just was like, oh, okay, that's a lot of pressure to have to control my mouth and my temper, should things go left. So I say, we'll set the time for 7:30. And they're like, cool, because if we tell them 9 and they're late, we don't want to start late. If we tell them 7:30 and then they don't show up till 9, same thing. So I was like, all right. So I didn't even leave my house till 7:30. I got there at like 8:15. 9:30, they walk in the door. Now, mind you, what nobody knows is my management and I had almost had a fist fight literally 5 minutes before they walked in the door. So you have last week Monday where I made arrangements and they canceled. Then, or he wasn't able to make it. Then you had this Monday, I make all these concessions as a mom. I get all the way down there. And then after almost 2 hours of waiting, Blue's not coming. So we need to reschedule. Tuesday rolls around. Me and my management almost get into a whole physical altercation. 5 minutes before they get there, almost 2 hours late. Then they get there and the energy is just, everybody's energy was off. The host was nervous. I was on edge from what had just happened with my team. She was tired. Chrisean said she was tired. She wasn't feeling well. They'd been working all day. So when she made the comment about us talking too much, I heard it. But what did anyone expect me to do? Like, at this point, they've both confirmed she's pregnant. So I just kept talking and hoped that the energy would shift. I was there to do a job, which was be interviewed, and I did that. I answered the questions as they were asked to me by the host. As far as Blueface's mom being on the internet talking about Chrisean should have smashed me because there's no way she would have let another woman chastise her through her man. No one was chastising Chrisean. The host asked me a question and I asked the question. What about this being a fucking podcast and people having healthy, respectful dialogue is so hard for people to grip? I don't fucking get it. It's a podcast. A fucking podcast. Chrisean was able to push through not feeling well, being tired. I was able to push through whatever the fuck had happened with my management, already irritated, by the lack of consideration. There's no consideration for anybody else on this panel. Another girl had a flight. So yeah, even if what happened with me and my management hadn't happened, I still had every right to feel some type of way or have low energy. But you know how sometimes when people come in and it's like, damn, my bad. My bad, guys, for being almost 2 hours late. My bad for canceling twice. I know everybody has, businesses and kids or whatever. Like, my bad. There was just no care, consideration for anybody. But at the end, Chrisean and I hugged. Like, there was no... She didn't direct anything towards me. She didn't look me in my face and say anything slick. She was talking to her team, I guess. That was an indirect sub. There was no name on it, so I didn't address it. I kept on going with maturity, professionalism, and grace. That clip that y'all saw was me answering a question that was asked to me. And I went after Chrisean. The host asked her about self-control first. Accountability first. I was last to answer. I was last to even be asked the question. So I don't know why y'all thought that was my podcast. It's not. I'm not the interviewer. Nobody was going to smash a fucking thing. And there was no reason to. And this why I be at home and don't do shit. I'm about to be 30 fucking 6. Now, it would be different if she looked me in my face, put a name on it, stood up, and squared up, then that would be something different. Then I would have handled my shit. I would have done my big one, but it was not that. Now this man mama on the internet talking about she should have spent, like, I know families feud and nobody wins when the family fights and all this stuff, but like, girl, I don't even want to say what I really want to say because I just don't like, and it's, you know what, I think too, I think low-key my feelings are kind of hurt too, because whenever I see something going on with this family and it's attacking the mom and the sister and all this, like, I be feeling bad, and then you're going to turn around and say she should have smashed me. Because the other thing is, I'll screenshot. Y'all know I'm the queen of receipts. I'm not going to throw nobody under the bus. The whole interview, it just was very odd. It was awkward. It was off. My energy was low. Her energy was low. The tension in the room between me and my team. And that's who I was talking to at the end when I was like, y'all are very distracting. I was talking to my people. That was my person that told me to relax. That I told to be quiet. So I know I did the right thing. Like I said, it was all love. Yes, I having a lot of anxiety because, just of everything that we see on the internet. And this is my first interview. And we were supposed to talk about my book. We were supposed to talk about mental health. We were supposed to talk about spirituality. We couldn't get there. They went over the questions with me. There were some really good questions. I was thinking that we would have great dialogue that would shift the energy in the room. That didn't happen. But It was what it was. At the end, Chrisean and I hugged. She complimented me. I complimented her. Like, clearly I let that little slick comment slide. Like I said, there was no name on it, and I didn't address it. She wasn't personally combative. So what did niggas want me to do? Get up and fight a pregnant person? Like, over words? Overall, the interview was draining. It was exhausting. Again, even if me and my team hadn't gotten into it prior to that interview, 5 minutes prior, I still already felt, so I was getting ready to leave. I was about to leave. I literally was collecting my things, and then they got the call that they were downstairs and they needed to go get them. When at that moment is when the shit went left with me and my management. So literally while they're coming up, me and my management are going, we almost turned this man's house into a melee. Like, legit, it was about to be fucking mayhem in there. So it's just, everybody has off days. She's pregnant. She's experiencing different hormones. She's still working on top of that. So I'm sure she was tired. So yeah. The full interview is on YouTube. I also tagged them in my last post. Yeah, Social Butterfly. The way it started was just like, if you watch it, just everything, it was just off. Everybody's energy was off. But the host said that that's what he was expecting to happen. Why he fought so hard through all of the lack of consideration and disrespect, I don't know. But I just did my part. One of my good friends is the one who, suggested that I do it. So out of respect for him as well, I didn't want anybody that was working on this podcast or had created this podcast, owned this podcast, and asked me to be a part of this podcast to go back to my friend and be like, oh, she was mad unprofessional, blah, 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 blah. Now they can say that after the way they saw me react to my management, but, I was doing my best to make sure that no matter what, I fulfilled my professional obligation. And so that's what I did to the best of my ability. So I don't know where the mama get off talking about this one should have smashed me. I was chastising her. Anyway, I gotta cook for my child. Let me take my trash out. Tomorrow's trash day. Just fed the dog and cleaned up after him. And yeah. Nothing but love, peace, healing, healthiness, happiness to all parties that were involved. We live, we learn. Feel me? So it is what it is. Everybody just had an off day and everybody did the best that they could do. So thank you, Eva B. Yeah, she'll grow. But, she also said right out the gate, no, we're only here because we just dropped. So yeah, Blue was not interested in me. Or vice versa. at all. At no point did I ever have a conversation with that man and exclude her. So the mom calling me an interviewer, everybody in the comments thinking it's my podcast, it's not. I was a fucking guest. Rico! Say hi to live. They're listening to you. I wasn't asking all the questions. I was responding to the questions. I was quiet most of the time. I spoke when I was spoken to. Period. And then you guys do know that this was edited, right? So many things, like my son FaceTimed me during that interview to ask if he could buy a movie. There were other times that I was going off on my team during the interview because I felt like they were being disrespectful, taking phone calls while the cameras were rolling. They left the ringer on. Like, it was just too much going on. Like, even Chrisean had my back. Like, when I was like, oh, y'all are distracting. And Chrisean was like, yeah, because we're working. So it's like, and when I asked Chrisean the question and she asked me the question at the end, that was because the host and creator of the podcast asked me if I had questions for her and if she had questions for me, being that we were both Pisces and seemed to understand each other. So I'm not going to allow anyone to create this narrative like I should have gotten up and popped the girl or whatever. Was her comment slick and disrespectful and uncalled for? Yeah. But at the same time, like I said, she didn't put a name on it. She didn't look me in my face. She didn't address me directly. She didn't stand up. She didn't square up. So there was nothing for me to do at that point but carry on. And the rest of the interview, because I was able to maintain my composure and maintain my self-control, there were no issues. So, it's what it is. Thank you, Ali. The old me would have snapped for sure. I have a podcast. My co-host, Tiffany Campbell, she moved to Atlanta. But I'll bring it back one day. But anyway, I'm going to I was definitely very patient. Why am I cold? You're not cold? But let me cook. My nephews are... Let me cook. Cam asked for lamb chops, cabbage, and rice and gravy. I wanted to fry them whole fish though. But I think I'm going to marinate them. I'll season them tonight, marinate them, and then I'll fry those tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to throw the cabbage and veggies, and then I'll think of a starch. I wanted to do loaded potatoes tonight. But I froze the bacon like an idiot. I didn't get quiet. I kept talking. I finished my sentence. That was the other thing. Everybody in the comments like, oh, you got quiet. No, I finished my sentence, and then they started talking to each other, and I didn't interject in their conversation. That was between two lovers. She felt like he was playing with her. And what was I supposed to do? Oh, no, it's not like that. Like, no. How she feel based off of whatever they done been through, that don't got nothing to do with me. If y'all ever see two people in a relationship going at it, you better mind your motherfucking business, because them niggas will turn around and jump you together. And clearly wasn't no nigga in that motherfucker finna have my back, so. Okay? Like, both them niggas not finna jump on me. Because wouldn't nary nigga in that bitch defend me if the two of them tried to tag team me. That I could say without a shadow of a fucking doubt. Nobody would have come to my defense. Every grown man in that motherfucker would have just sat there. That I know. No, that wasn't my first time meeting either one of them. But they walked in and asked me my name. So, there's also that. Right, that was the other things, Sade Marie, the age thing. I didn't take that personally, though. And she asked me my age like 3 or 4 times. I just chalked it up to her being tired, because I know when I'm tired, you could tell me something 10. Yeah. How old are you? How old are you again? How old are you? I'm going to be 36 in March. The first time she asked me, she's like, Mo at 22 was way worse than Rock. I don't know if I know you, but at 22 I was a mom. I was inside at 22 with a newborn. So I was pregnant. Oh, yeah. I had Cam at 22. Top of the year at that. He was born January 8th, 2010. I was 22. And then so wait, my math is off. So my birthday is in March. Cam is in January. So he was born, and then I turned 23 exactly 3 months later. I was pregnant damn near all of being 22. I only had 2-3 months of my being 22 that I wasn't pregnant. Because Cam was born in January. So, 22, I was pregnant and calm and inside. That's where I was at 22. So, what comments? Shut up. My son's gonna be a goat. Except wasn't Elvis Presley a rapist? So knock Elvis out of that. Who else? David Bowie. What do we know about David Bowie? He didn't mean anything. He was so great. A goat. Who else? You said Miley Cyrus. I like Chris Hemsworth. Love Natalie Portman. Britney Spears. Oh. Okay. Lindsay Lohan, Miley Cyrus, David Bowie, Britney Spears, Natalie Portman, Demi Moore, Alec Baldwin. Oh no. Either way, they're all goated. Stephen Hawking, genius. Oh, they said LeBron James.